Hey, it's Onesto, and today you're going to learn how to make something like this. If you want to make a great future pop, future bass track, it's essential that you know how to layer stacked chords. You would think that you would just have to layer a bunch of presets that sound good on their own and then just hit play. But it's a bit more than that. And once you get the hang of it, you'll find that making your own stacked chords from scratch is pretty easy and pretty fun. Okay, before we begin, I want to just show you what this project is looking like so far. So what we have here is a drum loop, we have a melody, and we have some chords. And those chords are separated into a few layers that we'll be working and creating something really cool with. Let me just play it. It's gonna sound like garbage right now, but just this is what you'll be hearing on loop for the next few minutes. All right, so the kind of chord stacks that we're going to create is pretty much a super saw, but making it a bit more lush, a bit more pop-ish. And you'll see that I have three different layers. We have a top layer, our main layer, and our base layer. When creating chord stacks like this with MIDI, you want to keep it between 3 and 5 different layers. If you go any more than that, it starts to get a little messy. But 3 layers is a really good place to start off, especially if this is all new to you. You also notice that I have a noise layer here. I'll be talking more about this layer. So let's start off with our main layer. That's going to be the bulk of the flavor. That's going to be the bulk of the body of this chord stack. So I opened up Serum and it's just like a default setting. I have these 2 saw oscillators. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this thing. So I'll just turn off oscillator B for now. I will mute all my other layers so we don't hear other things. Okay. So oscillator A, we're going to increase our unison to, we'll try 7. A lot of these numbers, I'm just going very general. I just know that for our main layer, we want our unison to be 7-ish. You know, we can go 7 or 9, but we want to keep it more in tune rather than detune. So I'm going to take this detune knob and reduce it a bit, put our blend up so we can hear more of the main layer down the center. Let's just hear how this sounds for now. Cool. So already we're getting a thicker, lusher sound. So let's add in a second oscillator. Oscillator 2, let's put this one to 9. Let's go higher. And let's tighten this one up. This one will be a little less tightened. Let's hear how this sounds. Let's adjust it. We're peaking. There we go. All right, it's still kind of boring, so let's add in an effect that I like to put in, which is just a hyperdimension. What we'll be doing is keeping the dimension mixed to 0. Rate on our hyper will increase, detune will increase. So now it's going to have more of a thicker feel. Cool, so now it's a bit more interesting. I just decreased the mix knob because I felt like the effect was a little bit too strong. So let's hear how this sounds now. Great. So now let's start processing this. So this sounds just a bit more clean, but also dirty at the same time. Isn't that lovely? Okay, so I have a decapitator. This is going to add just some saturation to it. And all I'm doing is just increasing the drive knob. I'm not going to touch anything else really. This is without it. With it. Okay, so the decapitator just helped give it a bit more crunch, which is helpful. Now let's start EQing this. Okay, see all that bass information. Let's cut it out because all that bass, we want to come from our base layer rather than our main layer. And I like to just sweep it until it starts to feel like really hollow and thin. We want to have a tiny bit of bass just to kind of have it keep its body. Like this is too much. way too high. Okay, I like it right there. So that's feeling good. I'm gonna high shelf it just to dip it a little bit because our top layer is going to be the majority of our top end information. Okay, cool. Then of course we need to add in some OTT. This is a free plugin. Just download it. It's great. It's used all over electronic music. You probably already know that by now, though. And all I really adjust is the depth knob. Yeah, it just sounds so much brighter and crisper. Now, the second EQ I have here, I like to use for additive EQ. That's adding frequencies rather than subtracting frequencies like we have here. So what I'm going to do is simply just get one of these little notches to kind of have it on a wider Q setting. I'm just going to sweep it around and just use my ear of like, where is a sweet spot? Where are my favorite frequencies that I want to keep and emphasize? Yeah, like that one sounds nice. This is without it. With it. Cool. Might be a little bit too much. Just put it right there. All right. So I think that's a nice main layer. All right. Let's make this way cooler by adding in our top layer. So we're going to just open up. I already have another instance of Serum pulled up. And what we're going to be doing is using both oscillators once again. And what we're doing instead of keeping it around 7, we're going to increase this beyond 10. So let's try 11 in our unison. This will be detuned much more. And this one, let's just jump into it already. Let's make this one 13. Let's go crazy. Might be a little too detuned. All right. So that sounded pretty nice. Let's just add in some distortion here. That's fine. Okay, so now that we have something in our top layer so far, we're going to start to EQ and OTT it, and that's when we'll really make it more on the top end. Because right now it sounds like kind of like the main layer, just more detuned. So we're going to make it into a top layer. Cool. So we cut out a whole lot of information down here. Now we're getting really airy. Now we turn back on our OTT. Let's figure out what's a good setting for that. Okay. All right, that sounded cool. Do some additive EQ here. I think that distortion is a little too much. Let's drop it even further in the mix knob here. Yeah. Better. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to increase the slope. All right, now let's hear it with our main layer. All right, it's sounding better, but now we need bass because right now it's sounding pretty gross still. So these MIDI notes here were just simply taken from the chord progression. All I did was just copy paste these guys here and just plop them here. And that'll be our bass. So let's hear it. So again. All right, let's just, there we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do once again, we're using another saw. We're using saws everywhere. I'm sorry if this is feeling boring, but this is the best way to learn. So what we have is I dropped down this octave here because right now it's feeling a bit too high. Dropping it an octave will make it feel more like a bass. I did a sub sine wave to give it some more of that subby nature. Now all we need to do is cut out a bunch of frequencies. Let's see what it's like going down one more octave. Yep, not working. Let's drop this one down. Couple more. Great. So now let's hear our saw. Put everything back in too. All right, that's pretty cool. Now let's move on to this noise layer. I mentioned this before. Now we're actually going to check it out. So all I did was bring up a random synth. I brought up Zone because I wanted to get more love on the internet. So what I did, I turned off the oscillators. I don't want to hear anything from this besides noise. I've even turned off the sub. So with this noise layer, I'm able to select between any of these here. I chose analog, put the volume all the way up, put the density up so we can hear it. And this is what it sounds like. Oops, I muted that. There we go, now we can hear it. So what I did was just give it some drive in the decapitator just to make it more saturated. And look, we're gonna just sweep, do a little high pass filter. Pump this up the shelf. There we go. See that nice hiss? It's so weird. That little hiss allows these core layers to feel a lot more organic. Just feels like it's coming out of an actual synth rather than code from Serum. Here, I'll mute it. Unmute it. Okay, it's a really subtle move, but let's just increase it a bit by going to our chord group. I'm just going to turn on this little plugin I have called Lux, and it's just a way to kind of give us a bit more clarity, and it just helps it out. Without it, with it. Cool. See everything all together. Great, that was a whole lot of fun to make. And look, I don't want this knowledge to just like go on one year and just drop out the other. So here are things you can do at home to level up your skills in creating these chord tracks or some awesome future pop, future bass action. So what I want you to do at home is to set a timer for 20 minutes. I know that's weird, but that 20-minute timer is going to prevent you from tweaking things nonstop. In that 20 minutes, make it your goal to do 3 examples, to do 3 different chord stacks made up of at least 3 layers. So yes, you're going to be moving kind of fast, but that's good because you're just simply practicing. This isn't going out into the real world. This is just for you to drill all these different moves and tweaks into yourself so you can just do it faster and faster and just become second nature to you. And honestly, the chord progression isn't really important. What's more important is how you build up these layers and experiment. So things you can and should experiment with that I did not touch in this lesson at all is go through different sound waves. Pick something interesting. Like I'm just going to go random here. So suddenly I have something that's more of a siney wave with a lot of different wave tables things. Here, I'll grab another one here. That one looks interesting. Okay. All right, let's try this one out. Oh, wow. This one's very noisy looking. Let's see how it sounds now. Yeah, so just by changing the wavetable, you get totally different layers. So what you should do is experiment with the different kind of layers, add in some effects. I know I only use hyper, but try with, a distortion or a phaser. whatever you want. And what I want you to do is start off with something more straightforward, something more safe and tamed. And then by your third example in that 20 minutes, push it as far as you can. Even if it sounds like noise, even if you fail, I just want you to get used to all the things you can do. And eventually you'll develop your taste, will develop your palate, and you'll know exactly how to work with these layers to make them sound exactly how you want it to sound. And of course, if you feel a little lost, just watch this video again, look at the steps that I showed, just kind of give you a framework. And how long should you do this? I mean, in regards to like how many days, do it as long as it takes. I mean, I really feel like if you just do this maybe for 3 days in a row, you should be fine. Just spending 20 minutes each day, putting these skills into practice. You're not going to become like a pro. I'm not, but you'll get proficient. You'll feel like, oh, like I know how to make some chord stacks sound good. I really want you to get good at this, and I know you will. You totally got this. Just gotta practice. All right, I hope that you learned lots from this video. If it helped, let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you want to watch more tutorials like this in the future. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.